Hey guys, I got this old compressor tore apart. I don't really see anything wrong with it. I've been cleaning the surfaces up so I can put it back together.
Not talking too loud about it.
Okay, buddy. This cylinder, let's see if I can get it where you see those cross hatches. That's an indicator that this engine, or this compressor motor, the pump I guess you would call it, had hardly any wire. When this thing gets a lot of wire in there, the rings take that cross hatching out. As you can see, it's still in both cylinders. How this works is you have this piston, and it's inside this cylinder like this. And as that crankshaft turns, like a crankshaft on a bicycle, yeah, you can, babe. That piston works up and down. And you see these rings on this piston? As that works up and down, this head has an intake and exhaust side. This is where the air breather goes. And it sucks air in, which will be your intake stroke. Then that piston, as it works, it builds up pressure. And as it builds up pressure, it pushes it out the exhaust side, or your high side, your discharge side, what we call it in the water business. But this goes into your tank and it builds up, and there's a check valve in your tank, and it keeps it from coming back. Or in most tanks. In the older tanks, you probably don't have that. I've actually took the one in mine out, and I'm thinking that might be part of my problem. So I'm going to try to put this back together. The only wire that I found on this thing was on this the big end of this rod that rides on the crankshaft. Let's see if I can clean it here. You see that scarring? I don't know if you can pick that up, but see if I can take it. Well, I got the cap bolted down tight so I can clean it. You see that pitting? More than likely a piece of metal or a piece of dirt. The crankshaft is wore also. Not nothing that I'm really worried about on this thing. It's just an air compressor. It might be used once a day, twice a day on the average. You know, unless like I'm off and I'm working on this truck all day long. Anyhow, I'm going to lay some, I'm going to take a piece of emery cloth and clean that up and clean the crankshaft up. And when you do that, guys, if you ever do this, try not to get it out of round. I also want to note, when you take an engine apart, before you unbolt anything, number your rods. You can see, I don't know if you can or not, let's see here. This one, it's got a 1. Right there's a 1, and then I've got a 1 crossways because I didn't have much room. You can see the 2. Okay. Also, I want to turn these the correct way. What I mean by that is the radius on this rod. You see that chamfer in that rod? That has to be a certain way because the way the crankshaft is ground on your oil clearances and everything, and it'll lock up if you get it wrong. So I always take a little chainsaw file, and see that little notch I made? That always goes to the front. A lot of your automotive engines, the piston will have a dot right on top of it on the front side. You know, my experience, a lot of engine experience was in racing engines, and you had 6 pistons that turn one way and 6 pistons that turn the other, and you had to be real careful or you would mess somebody's engine up real quick. That's why I always learned to do that. This head, when I took it apart, I didn't see anything out of the ordinary. You can see it's dirty now because I've been sanding on this, cleaning this head up. I found another thing. I went to a website. It's it's like a blog for air compressors, and I think the guy's over in England, and the website's all about air compressors. And the guy's name's Bill, and if you'll leave him a question, he does get back with you. You know, me and him's talked a couple of times, and he mentioned something about a vent tube. Well, the only vent I could find is this little thing here, and if you see all this dust right here, this thing was daubed up with a mud dauber's nest, this vent, and I cleaned it out. And I'm hoping that after I put this together, this will fix my problem. But I just wanted to show this, guys, to kind of, you know, not everybody knows how to work on engines and stuff. I was lucky when I was like 14, 15, something like that. The guy that lived across the street from my mom and dad, he had drag cars, and I rebuilt my first engine, a pickup truck my daddy gave me when I was 15. Not a lot of young kids can say that this day and time. I'm sure there's some out there. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure, because, you know, I see, you know, you can tell a kid that fools with a car. I worked in a parts store when I was 16. That's how I got familiar with all this stuff. And I'm no expert by any means. But it's just something helpful. It's helped me in my job, and, you know, taking care of my place, is knowing about cars. I don't have to have anybody work on it for me. Other than like if I have a issue with a computer control or something like that, I don't have the test equipment for that. But the minor stuff, I pretty well take care of anything I need to do. But I'm going to try to start making some gaskets, and I'm going to, because I have no idea where to get gaskets for this. I'm not really sure what brand of compressor this is. I think it's a Quincy, which is a industrial type, but I've not been able to find any info online about it. So I'm going to make my own gaskets, and I'll do a video on that and show you how to do that. Well, guys, thanks for watching, and comment, suggestions, questions, anything you can shed light on while this thing was building up pressure and popping the dipstick up and locking up. Shoot me a PM or a message or a comment. Thanks for watching, guys.